Hello there. 25 years ago, one of the most iconic action heroes was created and a 5-film franchise was born, with its ups and downs. In many ways, it is the ultimate man's film, placing an ordinary Joe in tough, nail-biting situations at the wrong place at the wrong time. That series is Die Hard. Believe it or not, the first film in the series was based on a book by Roderick Thorpe. Originally, Nothing Lasts Forever was going to be adapted into a film with Frank Sinatra in the lead. Then the script was rewritten as a sequel to Commando. When Arnold Schwarzenegger turned that project down, it was rewritten again. This time, Bruce Willis accepted the title role of John McClane, which was considered a bit of an odd choice at the time. John McTiernan was hired to direct, and I don't think even he expected it would ultimately become a classic. Die Hard was pretty unique in its time because of how John McClane and the action is confined to a single location through the whole film. He barely interacts with anybody, with the walkie-talkie being his only mode of communication, and so much excitement and tension is built out of this. However, what makes the film truly special is in the character development. Even though McClane and his wife Holly are divorced, there is still a connection between the two that is very well explored. This despite the fact that they only share 2 short scenes together. He also has fantastic chemistry with a policeman outside the building, even though they never meet until the very end. Their relationship and friendship is built through these quiet moments of conversation. Even though the action and explosions are spectacular, it's these quiet moments that sell the picture. What also makes Die Hard so incredible is that unlike a Schwarzenegger action film, for instance, there is a sense that he won't get out of there alive. McClane actually gets in worse and worse shape until he's practically limping very slowly in the climax. Here's a man who is forced to walk through broken glass while barefoot, or else he'll get hit by terrorist bullets. Speaking of terrorists, the villains are fantastic too. This was Alan Rickman's film debut, and he does a phenomenal job as Hans Gruber. Even though he is a ruthless terrorist, there's a suaveness and intelligence about him. Terrorists might be the easiest villains to write for, but the screenplay gives them an added dimension, and he's an excellent foil for McClane. He could have become too comical, but Rickman plays him with the right delicacy and villainy that he becomes quite menacing. Another fantastic element that works well is McClane's one-liners. A lot of them weren't in the original script, but Bruce Willis kept ad-libbing, and they were placed in there. In addition to providing the occasional relief, it also ups the tension as McClane keeps egging Gruber on. Some of the most well-written scenes in the film are when the two are squaring off via the walkie-talkies. And Gruber's reference to cowboys of the Old West actually works, as the two are like the classic Western sheriff and ruthless outlaw trying to outgun the other. Die Hard is one of those films that's definitely a must-see, as it ticks the boxes of an amazing action film, and even inspired many of its ilk later on, but few would match the power of the original, including the sequels. For Die Hard 2, they kept the formula intact, set in a single location at Christmas with a group of terrorists out to kill and Holly McClane in danger. However, this time the setting was changed to a New York airport, and while not being quite as strong as the first film, it's still a rollicking ride. Willis has some great one-liners, and his attempts to act quick on his feet are still there. Of course, being an airport, there's more room to move around in, and the new director, Rennie Harlin, does a great job of playing around with the many scenarios and possibilities of what McClane can do in such a location. While the new villain is no Hans Gruber, he still has the right threatening quality, especially having hacked into the airport's communication system. The scenes with Holly have been criticized for taking away from the plot, but I still enjoy them. In the end, it's still the John McClane show, and the film definitely packs the right amount of action into the mix. I think it's definitely a worthy sequel to the first Die Hard, and just as much a great holiday viewing. In Die Hard with a Vengeance, John McTiernan went back to the director's chair, but decided to play around with the formula, and in my opinion, it didn't work all that well. Instead of McClane being in the wrong place at the wrong time, he becomes the main target right away. For the villain, the filmmaker decided to go back to the Gruber well with Jeremy Irons playing his brother, and I personally feel it's just a pale attempt at capturing what made Hans Gruber such an intimidating villain. Die Hard took him seriously, while this one has his brother speaking in silly riddles, and the intensity just isn't the same. To his credit, Samuel L. Jackson does a solid job as McClane's sidekick, and the writers are smart not to let him overshadow Willis. And the action has some well-directed moments, like a scene in an elevator. However, I didn't find myself being all that excited during the course of the running time. I don't think this is any more than an average action picture that happens to hold the Die Hard name. After 12 years, John McClane returns for Live Free or Die Hard, which managed to modernize the franchise while also delivering plenty of spectacular action. Noting how technology has changed in that time frame, the film provides a clever way of pairing the old-fashioned McClane with the digital era. In this case, it's Justin Long. Already it's funny seeing the Mac playing a computer hacker, but Long is a likable sidekick and has some strong chemistry with McClane. Another great addition is Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Lucy McClane, and while she is made the damsel in distress at one point, she's also given that same attitude as her father, making her a very enjoyable character that I actually wish had more screen time. The villain's okay, he mainly comes off as a young whippersnapper, but the whole fire sale scenario is still a clever one on the filmmaker's part. One element that makes Live Free or Die Hard truly impressive is the action. I saw this on the big screen, and the combination of the surround sound and the incredible stunt work and special effects on display made this an exciting experience all around. Every action set piece, from the apartment attack to the speedway helicopter showdown, is excellently choreographed. This is a very good addition to the Die Hard series, and made me really look forward to what a possible Die Hard 5 had to offer. And now we reach a good day to Die Hard, and while John McClane is still getting caught up in shenanigans and saying quips here and there, this feels like a slightly different Die Hard. This chapter is also a missed opportunity in many ways. The best scene in the film is early on, when McClane interacts with his daughter Lucy, and there's a definite bond between the two. Pairing Mary Elizabeth Winstead together with Bruce Willis would have been excellent. Instead, Willis is partnered with Jay Courtney, who gives a very dull performance as McClane Jr. The character is boring, whiny, and worst of all, unlikable. Never once did I warm up to Jack McClane, and his relationship with his father does not feel believable in the least. It's not helped by the villain, who is as generic as they come, and a story that gets needlessly overcomplicated. The first Die Hard had a basic premise, but it managed to work amazingly well because the level of character development and interaction was so high and the writing was sharp. There is none of that here, though a couple of Willis's one-liners do provide chuckles. Sadly, his iconic catchphrase has the weakest line delivery in the whole franchise. On the action front, A Good Day Die Hard is better, though John Moore needs to calm his cameraman down and quit with the slow motion. Otherwise, the explosions, car chases, and massive amounts of destruction that follow John McClane around are definitely on screen, and there are nicely some surprises thrown the audience's way. This review sounds more negative than it actually is, and A Good Day Die Hard is not a terrible film by any means. It's just an average affair that just makes one want to slip on the first Die Hard again for the 100th time. And that's the Die Hard franchise. Some hits and misses, but when a movie succeeds, it really succeeds. Even if we get more subpar sequels, I think John McClane will still remain one of cinema's greatest action heroes. See you next time.